All right, Bulls and Bears, welcome. We are back with another dose. Economic reality, bull to the bust, BX4 News back in the building. Let's go ahead and get right into it. A lot of economic reality to get into today, starting with Denny'S. Denny'S, like the one right behind me, has made a shocking announcement. Many restaurants are going to be closing down. Is it on the verge of bankruptcy? Well, we're going to talk about that here in this report. We also have food banks and schools may not have food to hand out to kids and other people in need because of the cuts happening right now with the current administration. We've got tariffs causing massive uncertainty, including a big toy manufacturer that I think most of you, probably all of you, have heard of, announcing that it's going to be getting rid of a lot of people, a lot of layoffs. So they're not too confident that this economy and these tariffs are going to make things much better in the near term anyways. Also, we have some other news on tap here. As always, the housing market, we're going to get into that and more. Please make sure you are subscribed. Let's go ahead and get into it. And we're going to start right here. A recent survey conducted by CNBC, a survey of fund managers, strategists, and analysis, has come to the conclusion that the odds of a recession have drastically increased from 23% now up to 33%. And what we're seeing now is possibly a job cut induced economic downturn or recession. In the past, it's been a recession caused the job cuts, but now could it be the job cuts actually bring on the recession on top of the tariffs and then the overall debt levels that we're seeing? Some people look at a recession as a good thing because it kind of clears out some of the high prices in the economy. Other people say it's a bad thing because people lose jobs. My concern or argument has always been that if your job is dependent on people going into endless amounts of debt, is it a secure job to begin with? And we know that a lot of consumers who are buried under debt are very concerned right now at the thought and all the talk out there of prices going higher, so much so that Retail Dive even came out with this headline recently: tariffs trigger horrific, they use the word horrific, plunge in consumer sentiment. But more on this, folks. We have some people thinking that these tariffs are going to bring back manufacturing. My word of caution would be, why would companies want to bring manufacturing back to a country that has such a high cost of living? So first you have to have a lower cost of living for manufacturers want to open up here, because then wages won't have to be as high. Of course, manufacturers, they want to pay as low wages as possible. But we have a recent announcement out of a big toy manufacturer, Mattel. Toy giant layoffs of staff after CEO touts business strength. That's how San Francisco Gate, SF Gate put it. Mattel's CEO a few days before the cuts said the company today, we believe, is in the strongest position it's been in many years. So that CEO's sentiment shifted very quickly from just what he said a few days ago to now a number of layoffs are happening at the company. And we'll just bring up a picture for you there. Barbie and Ken there. One of Mattel's probably the best known toy that they've ever made. Maybe not, but I think so. They made a movie out of it, which I didn't see, but my daughter wanted to see. Anyways, over 100 corporate employees laid off from the California headquarters. So what is this telling us? It tells us that I think the CEO and many other CEOs sees some tough times ahead with this economy. Next, let's talk about Denny'S. Denny'S restaurants, known as being a lower cost place to eat, with the Denny'S Grand Slam, what it used to be $5.99, I think maybe way back when. I don't know what it's, I haven't eaten there in years, but they're typically known to have some pretty affordable breakfast and other food items. Gone for good, says The Sun. Fan favorite restaurant closes after 26 years. So that was a long time restaurant, long time in business, 26 years. Confirming that they're shutting down 150 locations by the end of 2025. So what's happening with Denny'S? Are they going to survive? Is this just downsizing and trying to lean things up for the business? And this now brings the total since the beginning of 2024. By the end of this year, it's going to be 180 closed, if they end up closing all the 150 that they've announced so far for 2025. Now, we've seen some stores in the past made announcements and then revised it with more closures as time went on, as things got worse for the companies. And will this restaurant make more announcements later this year, like we see it'll happen a lot of times, where they'll come out with one number and then add on to it and add on to it some more. We're going to see how the year goes. But remember, 2024 was a record year for closures. It was also a record year for a lot of things, a record year for strikes, a record year for people working multiple jobs. And another report just came out, and some people, say that I just bring bad news or that I'm negative. Something just got worse, folks. The number of people working multiple jobs. Take a look at this. And here's how they put it over at the Hill. A record number of Americans working more than one job. That's nearly 9 million Americans. So it just got worse from the previous report, from the previous quarter. And we said right here, this was going to happen, folks. Nothing's really being done to address the underlying cost of living. In fact, things are probably going to get more expensive. Now, inflation did come down in February. Doesn't mean prices came down, though. So prices just went up more slowly than before, because remember, we saw about 8 months previous of accelerating inflation. So even though prices did go up in February, it was considered good news for some people because prices went up more slowly than the previous months. But will this turn into some sort of downturn, deflationary cost level price correction? Well, speaking of corrections, look at Tesla stock, folks. Look at this chart. I got it up right here on the screen for you. This stock ran up to over $400 just recently, just in December of 2024, so 3-4 months ago. It crashed down now to $225. And what do we tell you right here in this channel? And we showed you this chart right here. Anytime you see this vertical, nearly straight up and down line, be very, very careful. You never see a stock that goes nearly vertical with the price rise from where it started off at 181 up to $400, nearly vertical, and then it just keeps going forever, right, to infinity and beyond. It never happens. There's always a pullback when you see that sort of vertical price run up where it's nearly straight up and down. And I got messages from some of you that made some good money on that. You shorted it. People put in put options. Other people that were holding it sold at or near the top, which is always nice to hear. But it's a pretty simple chart, folks. I always zoom out to the farthest chart to kind of see what's happening with this too. Same thing with Nvidia. We warned you right here what was going to happen with Nvidia. And it's not as big of a price correction as Tesla yet. But look to the far right of the chart here. Ever since 2022, nearly vertical. And this is one that seemed like it was going to keep going, right? We saw some minor pullbacks. But then this recent one here with a blow off top, it looks like up to $136, now down to $115. Could it reaccelerate to the upside? The billionaires could decide to push the stock higher. It's possible. But remember, at some point, even the billionaires are going to want to take their profits, and then it becomes a game of who gets out first. And usually the ones holding the bag are not the big money people, not the top 10%. It's usually the retail investors, people just trading on their Robinhood accounts or their E-Trade accounts, etc. And here's what a lot of people are facing right now. This is a dilemma. Splurge or save. That's how they put it at the BBC. Americans struggle as tariffs hit the economy. Now, on one hand, you say, okay, if things are going to get more expensive with tariffs, let's go buy the big ticket items that we're holding off on buying, that we were hesitating, right? Appliance for your home, a new car, whatever it may be. If you think prices are going to go higher, there's that fear that you better buy now, otherwise it may be more expensive down the road. Maybe even if you wait a few months, it's going to be more expensive. But then there's the other fear that, okay, if you spend too much and the economy really tanks, you're going to wish you had more money in savings. So then do you hold off on buying the big ticket items, right? That is the dilemma that many people are facing. They don't know which way to go. Buy now because it's going to be more expensive later. Well, if you look at holding money the long term, if it's just sitting in your account, not making any interest, you're losing 2+% a year if you just look at the official inflation number, which is really much lower than real life. But even if you just look at the official inflation number between 2 and 3%, just holding money sitting in your bank, you're losing 2 to 3% each year just due to inflation. So unless you know there's going to be deflation or lower prices down the road, it's probably not a good idea to save money. You should invest it and try to get some return on that money. That's one of the, I think, themes and the backbones of this economy is to encourage people to try to keep up with inflation and hopefully keep your head above water and make more than what inflation is, right? If you invest, we had many stocks here. We got 100% gains, 200% gains. I've called them here. I don't trade a lot. Like some channels are trading pretty much every day. I wait for the best opportunities, and then I'll go in and I'll let you know when I trade. So if you want to make some money, stay on this channel. We're going to probably do pretty good this year as well, even with the turbulent economy. And we're going to show you, I think, how to kind of game this whole system. Now, speaking of investments, we have people in homes now that are really cash strapped. Many of them, even though they have a lot of equity, some people, not many, but some people have a lot of equity. And what they're doing is they're trying to save money because savings is dropping big time. People's money that they have saved up is dropping. So they're trying to save money on repairs. But we just got a report out that said a record number of home repair complaints were made with the Better Business Bureau in 2024. So what's happening is people looking for the lowest cost repair person or maintenance person, they're not happy with the repairs. In some cases, they're getting scammed and not getting any repairs done. In other cases, the repairs are getting done, but it was a very bad quality job, very bad quality work, or the work was partially done, and then the repair guy just disappeared and he wasn't answering the phone calls after getting paid, right? So never pay all up front and be very cautious about who you're going to hire to repair your home. Hopefully you get somebody that's worked on maybe somebody like a reference or someone that has been referred to you, because that's going to be your best chance of not getting ripped off or getting scammed. But with all the recent storms, people are more desperate for repair people, and that's one of the things in 2024 I think that caused the big uptick in complaints is the number of storms. People were desperate, their homes obliterated in some cases, and they want to get it rebuilt or they want to get it fixed. And you're more likely to get scammed the more desperate you are. The more desperate and in a hurry that you are to get the home repaired or rebuilt, the more likely it is that you're going to get a bad end of the bargain. Now, moving on here, folks, a little bit of sad news. This is North Carolina food banks, schools, and farmers take a hit after the current administration slashes funding. And this is the free school lunch program. It's being reported out of The Guardian as well. USDA cuts are causing more than $1 billion in local food purchases for schools and food banks to go away. Millions of children could lose free school meals as food costs rise, warns a school nutrition expert president. And some people say this is awful. It is awful to see kids that may need the food not get it. Other people say that we need to find out why these people can't afford food and get to the root of the problem, right? Get to the root of the problem. So why are so many people dependent on free food programs, right? So can we fix the underlying problem, or do we just have to keep throwing more money at the problem and giving people free stuff, right? And in some cases, you have to continue to give out the free stuff. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of people starving and hungry. So I hope they don't cut this all off at once. I hope it's maybe decelerated, but at some point, you've got to get to the root cause of the issue, and that's it. One, you have the cost of living is too high. People can't afford anything, and more people now can't afford food. And every year you see more people sign up for these programs and more dependent on food banks. We see food banks are out there warning. We've talked about several of them over the past few months, how food banks are warning that they're not getting enough food in to keep up with the demand because so many more people are falling off the financial cliff and they need help from these food banks. And this article goes on to say that programs chosen for elimination, quote, will be terminated following a 60-day notification, unquote. So that's not a very long notification. We're going to see a lot of things happen in 60 days where you're going to see a lot of people very, very desperate and hungry. I would hope they wouldn't let this happen where you just see massive starvation, but this many people are dependent on free stuff. Otherwise, they're not going to have food. So the sad story is, one, yes, that these things are being cut, but at some point you have to say, okay, when's enough? When is too much? And then you got to get to the source of the problem. Why do so many people need this assistance, and why does it keep getting worse every year going down the road. Now, we talked about Tesla stock earlier in this video, how it's taken a pretty big drop here. People are selling the stock. Also, we have a lot of people vandalizing Tesla vehicles and dealerships both. We just had someone get caught for doing this. Some woman here vandalized Buffalo dealership Teslas, and also many reports here, spray paintings, fires being set, Las Vegas Tesla dealership in Las Vegas set on fire, Cybertruck vandalized. Some people are pretty upset about what's happening. I think a lot of it has to do with the job cuts. Maybe they lost their job, maybe their friend lost a job, and a lot of these federal job cuts are happening very suddenly, and the announcements are very sudden, and you can see why some people would be upset. Other people say that this type of thing should never happen, and it shouldn't. I mean, this is not going to fix anything. It's just going to make things worse. It's going to make things more expensive. It's not going to really change anything. Do you think vandalizing a car is going to change what's happening as far as the job cuts and all the investment changes that are happening right now federally? Of course not. It's the silliest thing in the world. But this is what is happening. So it's definitely interesting to see what some people are going through, the types of what they think are solutions. It's more like, I think it's more like maybe they want to send some sort of warning. Pretty interesting. What do you think about the vandalisms, the fires? And folks, we're only a few weeks into the new administration. How much crazier is it going to be? I mean, look at this.
Tesla
this
cars
is already what's
and
happening.
Trucks set on fire at 2 different locations. Tonight, questions are swirling. Who's behind the attacks, and is it related to Elon Musk's role in the Trump
attack on a Tesla repair center in Las Vegas? This video showing cars on fire early this morning. Police say 5 were set on fire or damaged, and the word resist was spray painted on the front of the business.
We believe the suspect approached the business wearing all black clothing, and he used what appear to be Molotov cocktails and a firearm to conduct his attack.
Just hours before in Kansas City, 2 Tesla Cybertrucks set ablaze at a dealership there. The FBI has now stepped in to help local police investigate both incidents and search for the suspects.
To those who might think that something like this is justifiable or
Exactly. It's not going to really change the big picture. It's not going to make
this video has already
anyone
been
change
viewed
their
hundreds of thousands of times. It was posted to a Tesla Facebook group 3 days ago and has since been reposted on several platforms, showing the moment a man parks next to that Tesla, gets out wearing a dark jacket with USA on it. He walks back and forth before appearing to key the car. We're blurring his face because he hasn't been
He's keying the car. Like, what good's that going to do?
Charged with anything criminal yet. It happened at the parking lot of the Costco on Center Road.
Costco, look out. Be careful if you drive a Tesla.
San Jose police arrested the suspect Monday afternoon, the police chief calling it a senseless crime. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan also weighing in, posting on X, quote, keying a car because you don't like the person who designed it is like breaking a clock because you don't like the time it shows. If this crime was politically motivated, our residents can't be held accountable for something Elon Musk is doing 3,000 miles away. The motive for that case of apparent vandalism is unclear, but the owner of this Cybertruck vandalized in Redwood City in January told us what was clear to her is that she was not the target. Tonight, in response to the Las Vegas Tesla fires, Elon Musk called it
crazy, folks. Even if you don't own a Tesla, this is not good to see because it's going to make body shops much busier. It's going to have a big surge in demand for body shops and fixing these vehicles. Insurance companies are going to have to pay out on these vehicles too, the ones that were burned or totaled. And that's going to cause insurance companies to raise their rates. This is never good, folks, even if you don't own a Tesla. So crazy times, folks. What do you think about all this? What do you think about Denny'S right behind me, closing 150 plus locations this year? And maybe they'll announce more. We'll see how it goes. Should we kiss Denny'S goodbye? Or is it just downsizing and they're always going to have some locations open because the Grand Slam is just too good of a bargain? Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Please make sure you subscribe right here. Help keep this channel alive. As always, keep stacking. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. Peace.